Welcome to the Bond and Newton Show. I'm one of your hosts, Jamal, and my quieter host, Kay. Hi, Kay.
Hi.
Hey. We have some things to discuss from the worlds of entertainment and dining as well. Along the way, we may dip into sports, a little current events, and we will certainly discuss our favorite albums from back in the day or the present. So, without further delay, at the outset, ladies and gentlemen, we're gathered here to discuss life. For me, he needs to be known as Charlie Murphy, not Eddie Murphy's brother. In real life, he never uttered those kind of words, nor do I recall him saying anything unkind in the tabloids about his younger brother's meteoric rise. He was always Charlie, someone I didn't truly get acquainted with until the real world skit on The Chappelle Show. His appearance was as edgy housemate Tyrese. You know, he was the one that was in the bedroom with the girl. Yeah, anyway. Then came Buck Nasty from the Player Haters Ball. Buck Nasty. But what truly put him on people's living rooms were the Charlie Murphy True Hollywood Stories in season 2. So, the Rick James skit, of course, and Prince. Game blouses. So, I've really enjoyed Charlie Murphy's radio appearances, his work on Boondocks, and just for being himself in the public eye. Hollywood didn't see Charlie like others of us did. Edgy but intelligent and a great storyteller. I told Kay last week Charlie was the guy you might think twice about bringing around your friends because they might be afraid of him. However, he'd win them over with charm and laughs and then tell you that he didn't like them motherfuckers. I always wish more exposure for Charlie in life and hoping more people come to learn more about his work in his passing. Kay, what did you think?
I definitely agree with you, especially the part where you would have liked him to become more mainstream. It kind of feels like you're a very, very unique, great friend that you just want everyone to know something about.
Yeah.
And you want them to push him out on everyone so that they can know what a treasure in a person was found. So that is definitely how I feel about him. I think he was very classy to have never like sold any stories to anyone about his brother, his family, or anything like that. And he wanted, I think he really wanted to make his own way in things and do things the way that he needed to do them. He didn't need to be like his brother. He
Right.
only needed to be like himself. And I really appreciated that about him.
Agreed. Very much agreed. I just, sorely missed. And it's interesting because because of the events that are going to take place on Friday, we can tie in the anniversary of the death of one Prince Nelson Rogers. That It's been a year this week, and this is the week of the year that I've really been dreading the most. Just looking at the calendar, for many, he was. For many, the wound is still fresh, and his passing on the 21st, it didn't happen. Okay, I'd say I fall into that crowd, honestly. It's real, but it's not real, you know? I don't want to acknowledge it happened, and to do so, I often joked with people, if you think Michael Jackson's passing was bad, I wonder how it'll be when Prince passes. Well, they don't have to worry about that for a while. He takes care of himself. My cousin introduced me to Prince as a youngin'. The Controversy album and was out, and he played the hell out of that record. And I thought I was listening to a woman at first before he showed me the album cover. And it was like, dude, it's a dude. Okay, my bad. He opened my world to this man who would later make Purple a thing and become a music agreement point for this young man when he tried to talk to women later in life. No matter your music taste, people spoke Prince. Surprisingly, it's about a man I saw perform post Purple Rain, post dancing on the piano, he was just him and his band. And he was a man who would play for hours, who gave us what we wanted, what we didn't know we needed, and left it all out there every night before going to an after show as well. So, the infamous 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning after show jams, never got to see any of those. But, that's somebody who's got a lot of energy. He was the best performer I ever saw, and he's my birthday mate. Sometimes it truly does snow in April, and I'll miss him again. Okay? How about you and Prince?
Okay, so there was a theater in our neighborhood. And I know that doesn't happen anymore. To have a theater right down the street from your house.
Mm-hmm.
It was called the Aquarius, and it's off of Polk and Camp Wisdom Cliff. And so we, as children, would spend the day at the movies, maybe paying for one or maybe going through the back door to get in. And I was first introduced to him, the movie Purple Rain, with my brother and my sister and some more people, from around the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
The first record I bought was my mom bought was a 7-inch single. I got two. One was We Are the World, and the second one was Raspberry Beret. And that was my first album. And I love that song. I don't know why. Maybe it was the beat. Maybe it was because, it's Prince.
Mm-hmm.
So that was how I was first introduced to him. And I just knew how great that movie made me feel watching it. It made me sad, but in the end, it just made me feel that there's hope, in place. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how I was introduced to Prince.
Yeah. What's the song that you will sing along to, even though you've heard it countless times?
Countless times. That would be Raspberry Beret.
You're first. I'm a big fan of Baby I'm a Star. Just, it was high energy and just, it's a lot of fun, I thought. But yeah. What did you ever get to see him live?
No, never. It's a tragedy.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
A tragedy.
Yeah. Don't worry, we're going to do a show later this summer where we discuss Maze, and I'm going to have you just go through.
Well, the concert is in August here, so we should definitely have a conversation about this the week prior to. Yes.
Indoors or outdoors?
Unfortunately, indoors.
Ah.
Out right here for whatever reason.
Because it's hot. Okay. Frankie Beverly knows better. Okay. Man. Yeah, I got to see him again before he quits. So, back to Prince. Were he alive and had a piano or guitar in front of you and said you could request one tune for him to play, what is it? And it doesn't have to be one of his.
Get Off. That's it.
Really?
Yeah, that's it. He also wrote a lot of other stuff for people that is still his.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think about, the one he did for Alicia Keys, Why Come You Don't Call Me Anymore?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that just should have been all him. I like her, but that's a him song. He
Mm-hmm.
should've done.
But why tell me about Get Off. Why Get Off?
Because it's instrumental. They use these different instruments, and then the words that he says. I mean, like, there's no other artist that would say the things that you said in that song.
Oh my.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. I love to hear the different instruments that are used.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have had him play one of the songs from his idol, Jimi Hendrix, Voodoo Child, just whip out the guitar and just run through it right quick. I thought that would have been really a fun thing to listen to. So we have other things to discuss, and let's let's start with my boy Dave Chappelle. He has last month he released two specials, two slightly older specials on Netflix. Did you get a chance to watch them? And if so, what were your thoughts?
My first thought was, damn, Dave Chappelle and gained some weight. He doesn't even look like himself, but he does sound like Dave Chappelle.
Mhm.
Oh, I think it's a little bit too many cock jokes, but hey, I'm a woman, and maybe men are into that type of thing. I don't know. But other than that, it was refreshing. Of course, I know he's been out doing touring and all of that,
Mhm.
but it was just refreshing to see him back in his element.
I think that's the
Yeah.
perfect, yeah, I think that's the perfect word, and that's what I would use to say it was definitely refreshing. It was, the material was different. It's Dave Chappelle, so it's a little edgy in certain aspects of it. Like he opens the first show, was it the first show or the second show that they had, where he says a couple of jokes about O.J. Simpson's ex-wife.
Nicole.
Yes, Nicole. Thank you. A couple of kind of off-color jokes about the passing, and it's just like, look, if this is gonna offend you all, y'all in for a long night, and that's who Dave was, and that's what I did appreciate about him, and so that I was very happy, and it was refreshing to have some version of Dave Chappelle back, as opposed to the one that the media has been portraying as just this, yeah. And yeah, he's gained weight. That's true. Yeah.
Yes, he looks great.
Oh, I wasn't going to go all that. So, I haven't had a chance to see the movie yet, but your thoughts on Get Out, smashing records for being is independently written screenplay and just an all-around movie that white folks are just like, I didn't know this existed.
I think it's an excellent, excellent job done by Phil or Pete. Phil? Okay,
Yeah.
so great job by him. Um, and the movie, it was okay. I mean, it's not the greatest thing ever made, but it definitely was something that would open someone's imagination to a what if, or maybe this could happen. So, of course, there's a lot of interest in that. But, it was pretty good.
What weren't you feeling about the movie?
I guess it's just not really my type of movie. It's not something that I would just run out to see. Not really as big on movies as I used to be because of me having to actually sit still for attention. Usually people at a younger age would have a problem with that, but mine, I'm the one that had it first. I mean, it was okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. At some
You
point I'm going to I yeah, at some point I'm going to make my way to the theater and sit and watch. It's the same reason that you had though in terms of actually going to see it, sitting it and watching. Yeah, there's too many other things I'm trying to do at the same time.
yeah.
So, Kendrick Lamar retired. Kendrick Lamar has a new album out that everyone is blowing up about, and I see that big smile on your face. You want to talk about it?
I mean, Kendrick is being Kendrick, and then the song titles, you know what I'm saying? That's interesting. As always, his titles are always like spot on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just, I enjoy him. change up of the beats. One beat can go into another beat and a whole nother race.
Mm-hmm.
It's just wonderful. And overall, it's good. Some songs could have possibly been left out, but hey, he's telling the story, so it's
Right.
all good.
Right.
He done nothing wrong here. It's a great thing. What
I've
do you think?
I've listened to a couple of songs in passing thus far. I haven't. One of the things that I miss about living in Texas is something like this. You could stick in and go driving around town and just listen to over and over again and just kind of let it seep in because your commute was that long or the store was that far away. But nevertheless, I am looking forward to a good solid listen to this weekend, and I'm just excited. Kendrick, the dude's really good. So yeah, that's gonna be something that I'm looking forward to listening to. And oddly enough, I was messing around and caught portions of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductions on, um, excuse me, sorry, the a couple of Friday nights ago in Brooklyn. And among those inducted that caught my attention were Tupac, Nile Rodgers, Journey, and the band Pearl Jam. So I loved, rephrase, I liked Tupac. I loved that he spoke his mind, and I loved that he came with a style that wasn't necessarily what everyone else was doing. And I felt that he really and truly would have been a very good actor. From the movies that I did see him in, I was a fan of his acting. Nile Rodgers, it's funny when someone says that your songs are worth $3 billion. Think about that. $3 billion is the worth of your songs, just that you've produced or whatnot. That's it's amazing, and he's worked with so many different artists. It's truly amazing, and that he's just now getting the recognition is astonishing to me. But I guess that's just the way it works. Journey is one of my little. It's really okay.
Now, what were you gonna say about
Journey is one of my little closet likes. There's a group of us who will occasionally go to karaoke, and the song that we generally close out with is "Don't Stop Believing." And just in general, just there's a
Journey? It has 280 million plays on Spotify.
wow.
Can you imagine?
No, no, no. I And the interesting thing about Journey is when they did their induction speeches, they did have Steve Perry speak. But when they did the performance, the newer singer, uh, there is a really good documentary on Journey on Netflix right now, and it tells the story. And I feel bad because his name I've just forgotten off the top of my head, but the man is really very, very good singer, and I think in a tough spot trying to sing behind and having to sing exactly like Steve Perry for the rest of his life that he's with Journey. But great, great documentary, great behind the scenes, and I was just like, oh, okay, all right, I have a little more respect for him. I might actually go see Journey in New York in the summer, July 29th, Citi Field. And finally, my other closet like Pearl Jam, I this is going to sound snobbish. I have a thing, and I feel like, and I'll try to be very quick about this. I understand that there's a need to try to bring in a younger audience, but in Pearl Jam, a number of these bands have paid their dues, Nirvana and Pearl Jam, and yet I still say that they really should go back to the 30-year thing that they had previously. I think that it's too soon when you have it at 20 years or 25 years, whatever it's at. It's like, let's take it back It there are a lot of older groups, older acts that are still being missed that probably should have their due. But what about you? What is your? Do you have any thoughts on
On
the
on any of
inductees? On any of the inductees? Yeah.
well, I like Journey, and
Hmm.
it's well deserved. And Tupac, what I'm saying, before he's a rapper or an actor, he's a poet. And he definitely had a way of words about social issues. And it's like whenever he spoke, about social issues, you definitely wanted to hear his take on it because it wasn't so cut and dry. You know what I'm saying? It had a deeper meaning, and some of the things he said maybe you did not know how to put them together at the time, but over time, you would understand his meaning of certain things, and I think that's really he's wise. He was wise beyond his years. So I did not watch the taping of the induction. I'm definitely going to go back and watch that as I do every year, even if I fast forward through most of it. I try to, listen to what is said about the artist, the people introducing them, and things such as that. I mean,
Hmm.
because it's very important, to know a little bit about everything. So
Right.
that's what.
Right. You'll also get a chance if you do go back and hear Pharrell's induction speech to Nile Rodgers on how not to prepare for someone that you're inducting. It's just a little off. So let's go ahead and slide along. Let's talk a little TV. So we've both been watching 24 Legacy as we're both 24 refugees from back in the day. So far, up to the point that you've watched, how are you feeling about this show as itself?
Okay, well, speaking for it on its own merit, I was excited to see more than one brown person on the show. Okay, I was really excited about that. But what I was hoping is to have that same feeling as season one of the old. I mean, I know I'm not supposed to compare, but as far as the writing, I want to be like, I cannot wait till Monday. I cannot wait to see what happens next. I don't feel that way. I'm definitely going to watch each week just to keep up with the show, and I guess wait for that breakout event that's going to happen, where it's going to have me like, oh, I never saw that coming. I guess I'm going to keep waiting for that. It's not happened yet. That is a problem. The writing is not as good as it should be. That's what I think.
I'm in agreement with you, and I would have loved for them to have. There are a number of reboots and sequels that I wish that they would rename something else and just say by the producers of or by the writers of such and such. In this case, I felt that along the lines of what you said, it's a matter of it just Monday nights were just Jack Bauer Power Hour. That was what you would always say to me, Jack Bauer Power Hour, gotta go, click. It's done. Monday Night Football, whatever. And so the way that this show has gone, I have been waiting also for. Now I'm going to admit I'm 2 weeks behind at this moment, but I have been waiting for that. Ooh, I didn't see that coming moment. The dad turning, not so much, and the appearance of Tony. You know what? Anytime there's appearance of Tony Alameda, which I was sitting in the parking lot and I was wondering, what is it about Tony? You and I. Okay, let me quick sidebar. You and I were discussing. Is it 24 Resurrection? Is that the one that?
The last one, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And what did we at the end of it just kind of say? So where was Tony? It's
Right.
it's not 24 without. What is it about Tony?
I don't know. I mean, we had such hope for Tony. I think we So it was just a lot of hope that we had built in him, and he just tore our hearts out. And I think that's why. But he was good. I mean, he was good while he was doing it.
Oh
So
yeah, oh
he
yeah.
definitely played his part. Yeah.
I really have hoped for a different type. Another person that I'd hoped for a different type of career trajectory uh, beyond a show that they were doing. The actor who plays Tony Alameda, but it's they brought him back. I was just like, "Ooh, it's Tony," and then it was, "Wait, this is what you're gonna do with Tony? Come on now, this you got to do better than this. Come on." So, and I'm hoping that they do something a little more. But it's overall, it's. I don't think I would have gotten away with going 2 weeks without seeing the Jack Bauer Power Hour during its prime. During the latter seasons, yeah, but yeah, still waiting for. I'm still waiting for that big turn. So hopefully something will come. Um, I've been watching a show called Hap and Leonard, and it is, I believe, an AMC produced show in its second season. They have it on Netflix, and of course, my boy Michael K. Williams plays Leonard. James Purefoy plays Hap. And Christina Hendricks from Mad Men fame co-stars. It's a dramedy, shall we say, that's set in Texas circa 1960s, maybe 1970s, and it centers around some interesting hijinks, and it is a overall it has an interesting portrayal of what things are kind of like in East Texas, even though it was actually set in Baton Rouge in real life. But the writing on the show was fairly good. The dialogue is fairly good. The actual story thus far is what's kind of lost me. It's kind of one of those they've been setting up to this big moment. The big moment has happened, and now I'm just kind of I'm not really that interested, even though I know there's another season. But now just But have you had a chance to watch any of it?
No.
Okay. If you get a chance, and I know that your list is long, the slide it in. It might be an interesting watch one day while you're stuck watching, I don't know, some Sunday without the Cowboys. So, what about the Get Down?
Well, Jamal, the thing about the Get Down, and I guess I'm going to tie this in kind of to the book that the two of us have been listening to, The Big Payback.
Yeah.
And as I was watching this show, a lot of things that actually happened were taken into the show, and kind of, for the most part, it was kept true to what it was. It was a little finagling along the way, but the lead actor in this story is so, to me, is so mesmerizing. I really hope that he's cast in a lot of other things. I see a lot of promise in him. But the Get Down is just about some kids being kids, and them showing their love for hip hop, and how
Uh-huh.
much hip hop really meant to them growing up, in New York, where they all been brought up for the most part. So after I finished watching it, there's a question of whether it will be renewed for a third season. But in my mind, as creative as it sometimes is, I can just see so many different ways the story can continue.
Uh-huh.
Not just how hip hop started, but also how they kept up through the years with the trends in hip hop and how they survived it. So I really enjoyed it. I didn't think that I would. I'm like, get that, but it was worth it. Definitely check it out.
Based on your recommendation and what you said, I definitely am now interested because, like you said, we've been reading/listening to a book called The Big Payback, and I've been imagining aspects of what some of the life was like during the times of the beginning of the book, which was, we're floating around 70s, early, very, very early 80s, but mostly the 70s. And there's a fascination of, so to have a party, you had to plug into the street lamp to get power? Is that how this worked? And just the parties at the playground and the basketball court. So when the Get Down first came out, I just looked. I was like, whatever. I'm not interested. But I trust what you tell me, and if it's something that kind of lines up with what we're listening to, I'm all for it. So I'll put that down. I'm gonna finish Hap and Leonard, and then I'll hop right on that, and I will be ready to discuss.
And
I'd
a
like.
quick, too. I mean, quick watch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. I'm looking forward to that. So,
Yep, and it has Jaden Smith in it, Will Smith's son, and the star Ezekiel is Jesse Smith. Really, really an interesting guy. Really, hope you enjoy.
well, I appreciate it. I'm gonna look forward to watching it. So, any movies on the horizon for you that have your attention? You, you,
Absolutely not.
you're not a Fate and Furious.
I'm gonna watch it because as much as people see it as cheesy, the movies are entertaining. For it to be such a long-running uh, series of movies, they're all entertaining. You know what I'm saying? So for that reason alone, I definitely will watch. I just haven't. But that's not something that was like on the radar. Like, oh my god, I read the book. Can't believe they made a movie. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for that, and just not happening for me. So
Well,
I don't really know what to say.
when was the last time you,
Will you watch?
besides previous to the Get Out, when was the last time you went to the theater to see a movie that wasn't a children's film?
The last movie I saw was Independence Day, and that was horrible. And that was just, well, what are we gonna do? We're in the mall. We got time to kill. Okay, let's go see a movie.
Okay.
Yeah, no. And before that, it was probably American Sniper, and that movie was awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
And I was anticipating that. I was really waiting on that because of the Texas ties.
Yeah, that was actually a really good story. That's a good point. I didn't see it in the theater, but yeah, that was a really good story. What was the last thing I saw? I had this string of seeing Marvel films in this theater in the Upper West Side of New York, where every time I go to this theater, the movie sucked for me.
Oh,
So I yeah, and I can't remember the last film that I saw there. I actually liked, but it's not coming to me. But I gotta tell you, I'm honestly looking forward to seeing Wonder Woman. I just I It's not the costume. She just seems like this is going to be a chance for some kick-ass, just good stuff going on there. And I'm also looking forward to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Don't judge me. I am. Otherwise, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to have to go to one of those places where they have a restaurant built in so that I can, sit there and eat and drink while I'm watching this film, study my drink. So, that said, let's skip along. We got a couple of books. One of them we've already touched on, The Big Payback, which is it's kind of almost an encyclopedia of the business of hip hop from the get go and the evolution of how hip hop is come to be. It's a very large book. I think it's like 600 plus pages in print, and we're doing it via audiobook. It is a 26-hour listen. So we're still, I can't speak for you. I've kind of been doing portions, but every portion I listen to, it's just illuminating for me. Just, I learned something new. And my hope is I'm at a point where I'm still in New York. I'm hoping at some point he starts to cover the West Coast, um, stuff. But the book by Dan Charnas, who is a very interesting fellow in his own right, was it's a great listen. It's a great purchase. It's long, but just little pieces of it, little pieces of it, little pieces of it. And the next thing you know, it's 3 hours later, and you're like, oh, jeez. What's it been like for you so far?
That's the same way for me. The thing that I find interesting is you have a pretty much black cultural thing that is still controlled by people of other races. And it reminds me a lot of what's going on in the sports world, where you have um, athletes of color who are pretty much still controlled by other races as far as management and their agents. So that's something that I can relate to what's going on currently, and it's really interesting to me that we still haven't found a way to control our destiny or control our dollars without having to pay a huge amount to others instead of keeping it in our own house. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I think I'm down 6 hours, so many more hours.
Wow. I
So,
I'm still at 20.
I think I'm probably at 20. I'm with Russell Simmons.
Yep.
That's kind of where I left at.
I'm at Rick Rubin walking away from Def Jam. So, and I'm going to say right off the top, one of the more interesting, I guess, takeaways, at least from my most recent listen, was and don't laugh, but I honestly thought those boys meant what they said on the License to Ill album, the Beastie Boys. Like, I took all that seriously. And then as I'm listening to it, I guess Rick was in it, but basically, it's presented that this was actually more a series of jokes that essentially got, you know, put onto an album. And I was just, oh, hold on, I feel stupid. Because I was just like, man, them white boys don't know this, that, the other, about da da da. Oh, okay, I see now. And that just, it's interesting also the way that Sugar Hill Records was brought up and the way that Def Jam is portrayed in terms of how it paid its artists and the way that just because you had contracts a certain way growing up that you would think you would try to do things differently, and instead they turn around and do the exact same things that were preventing them from making money coming up. So I was just, so this is going to be a very interesting listen. The other book that is I am reading is, and by your suggestion, is a book by Craig Hodges, the former NBA basketball player who, why don't you go ahead and, if you don't mind talking about it.
I haven't started reading the book yet, so
What grabbed your attention about the book?
the part where they're explaining how, I guess about athletes that have been blackballed, and they listed his letter that he wrote to Bush while the Bulls won their championship. So to me, that's what caught my attention. Of course, I wanted to know more about it.
Yeah, the name of the book is Long Shot, The Triumphs and Struggles of an NBA Freedom Fighter. And it's a biography of Craig Hodges from that early 90s Bulls squad. and from, I think, Milwaukee Bucks fame as well, if I remember. But I've started to read it. It doesn't look like it's going to be a long read. I need to just, I remember the time frame. So I'm really just going to be very interested to see how this plays out versus you now have athletes who they will, and the opening of the book has a very interesting scene where you have Isaiah Thomas, Craig Hodges, and one other player who was new to the NBA at the time who were talking backstage and just really, you know, hand to fist. We need to do this, we need to do that, and this and that. And then when they came out in front of the mics and cameras, it was a completely different tone. And that seems to be slowly melting away in terms of the players that we have today, but there's still some lines that you just don't cross without being blackballed. So let's come back and talk about that in a couple of weeks. Now, tell me, where you going?
Well, we're doing a little trip to Philly for the draft.
Woo!
I did some research on like some of the places that Guy Fieri went to
Mm-hmm.
on the show.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a couple of places that I want to go eat, but it's really not enough meals for all the places I want to try. I mean, I don't have enough time.
Gotcha.
And so definitely going to want to narrow it down as much as I can. Yeah, I just feel it's my duty to do so.
Are you excited about it?
I'm really excited. I've never been, so yeah, I'm excited about that.
Cool. Cool. I've been to Philly a couple of times. I'm gonna love to get your feedback on it. So the next show will.
The stories I hear about the people, we'll see.
But you know how to handle yourself, so I don't think that you're going to.
Well, that's not the question. It's kind of like when I guess wherever you are is wherever you are, so
Yeah.
be okay.
And you're not one to raise a ruckus, so I don't think that there'll be too much of an issue with you and your.
No, I'm in my own world most of the time. So,
That's an interesting way of putting it, Kay.
yeah, I'm here for me. I'm not here for you. So. I mean, who could lose with an attitude like that, right?
Precisely. Are you gonna wear your Cowboys jersey?
I'm not gonna wear my jersey, but I am going to wear some of the things that I picked up at the sale. Okay, I'm gonna put on my little shirt with a little star on it. Okay.
Okay. That's good enough. That works.
And I'm gonna go interview Philly fans, and I'm gonna ask them the important questions. Okay.
Where the food is at.
Where the food at, and I'm gonna ask them sports questions because they're very, very. They say Cowboy fans are toxic, but Philly fans are overly confident. Like they should not ever be as confident as they are. Like at no time. So I'm gonna play into them and make them think that I'm really concerned about what they gotta say, and I'm gonna be reporting this. Okay.
Looking forward to hearing what you come back with. I think that'll be fun.
And slash hair guy. Oh, security. He has a lot of duties. You just don't know. Slash. This is gonna be his thing.
Gotcha. So, one of the things that I am hoping to do is just to do a quick look back through the music that we listened to growing up. And I went back and threw a dart and came up with for my milestone album of the week is actually just a track. It's not an actual full album. And it is the song Deep Cover by Dr. Dre and Snoop Doggy Dogg, as he was known at the time, 25 years ago this month. And it dropped back in 92, and it was Dr. Dre's opening salvo to his departure from the NWA crew, and a great introduction to us from this kid who sounded like, you know, it's menacing, but I kind of want to know him. Snoop Dogg, from just, the rapping and just the style that he brought on that song of Deep Cover, it was, I still remember riding around the car listening to it and thinking, yeah, yeah, this is Mr. I'm listening to, Pearl Jam and Nirvana, and hey, yeah, all right, this is cool. I like this, but it was an explosion, and it's unlike most of the Dr. Dre tracks that you'll listen to, because it's really stripped down. It's really that hard drum and just good Spitfire lyrics and a really good story. But Kay, what did you think about the song?
I mean, it wasn't necessarily to me about the voice. You know what I'm saying? That was everything. It's like, okay, what's next? After that. And so, yeah, that's my thinking. It was great though.
Okay. Yeah. And so hopefully next show in a couple of weeks, we'll have a different album, or actually two albums, to discuss and illuminate what some of our older lives were like. So there's a part to the show that I want to do, and because a lot of what Kay and I talk about is actually food. We discuss food more often than we actually discuss sports, more often than we actually discuss movies. A lot of what we discuss has to do with food.
Okay, this sidebar.
Hit me.
Okay, so a friend of mine was talking, and he told me that his wife liked to do a certain activity. And so I came up with, like a fun thing, an activity. And so I told him about my love for food, and how if I'm with someone who's not necessarily crazy about eating out, like any meal would do for them, they're just trying to eat to live. Me, I live to eat. You see what I'm saying? So there's definitely two different dynamics. And I expressed to him that if I am with someone and this is my thing to eat, then I'm going to pay the majority of it. Okay? Do you agree that if your mate was interested in a certain activity, that your mate is primarily responsible for paying for this activity?
That's a good question.
I mean, like, they enjoy, like, oh, I just love doing this, or I love doing that. Whereas you, being a responsible adult, would like to do it less and when the time is appropriate. How would you handle that, Jamal? I guess that's what I'm asking.
Okay, I would like to think that I would be supportive of their love and their activity, that I would try to at least learn what it is that they like and try to maybe talk to them about it a bit. I'm not going to say that I'm going to get both feet in wet. I'd probably, put my toe in and find out a little more about it. Let's say that my mate is really into fine dining and I'm a McDonald's person. I would do a little reconnaissance and see find out. So, what is it that you like? What is it? This, and I would go one or two times to some of these establishments and find out, what's the what's going on, what am I missing? Is this burger more than what I'm getting at McDonald's? And from there, sky's the limit. But what I would say is the first thing I would do is I would try to find out what is the what about the place or the activity that they're into.
But at what point does it stop being a us thing and maybe just like this is your thing and you should finance your thing?
I am unsure about that one. That's if it's my mate and they have their activity, then they are going to be financed the same way as if we're doing something together because you're my mate and, the money is not something that should be, oh, well, it's going towards something I don't want to do, so I'm not giving or, contributing. And if I'm financing for dining out and other entertainment, if I'm buying plane tickets or, well, excuse me, paying for transportation, if I'm paying for, whatever, then if it's something I pay for when we're together, then there shouldn't be that much of an issue for me to pay for it they're not, if they're doing it on their own, as long as when I'm doing an activity that doesn't involve them and there is a need, that there is a contribution from them without pulling teeth.
Okay.
Is that
Makes
fair?
sense.
Okay.
Hey, me, I guess I'm too nice. I just, hey, this is my thing. I'll finance my own thing.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's that. But if you've already got that, from where I stand, if I already have the type of back and forth when it comes to the money, then I feel that it's kind of to try to, just
Okay.
okay. That's just my, yeah. So back to food. Looking forward to doing this segment called "If Ever You'd Come Here, I'd Take You To."
Mm-hmm.
And so this is, and it's pretty much what we say to each other when we talk on a weekly basis. That hey, I found this place. If ever you come back to Texas, hey, I found this place. If you come to New York or wherever, or even if we've gone traveling, hey, if ever we're in such and such, we got to go here. So I thought that I would start this week in honor of Kay's going to Philadelphia with a spot in New York on 43rd, no, 9th Avenue and 43rd, I believe, called Shorty's. And Shorty's is a Philadelphia themed restaurant that sells great cheesesteaks and great chicken cheesesteaks. So they are, it's a real Philly bar without the Philly attitude, though. You have
Nope.
some very nice people in there, and the food's fairly good. So that is where I would take you to when you come back to New York. What about you?
I'm coming to New York in September,
Yay.
allegedly.
Yay.
Hey, 49 birthday party, 50th birthday, 50th birthday party. So whenever you come back to Texas, I am going to take you to the home of brisket tamales, to Slow Bone off of Riverfront Drive. Mm-hmm.
Um, can you tell me more?
Brisket tamales.
Hmm. Okay.
I got other stuff there. Okay. There's other things there. So we're gonna get there early. We're gonna get you some brisket tamales,
Yes.
low bone.
Yes.
Okay.
Excellent. I like it. I like it. All right, Kay. So thank you very much for making yourself available and for taking the time. The It's our first show. We managed to get through it. Looking forward to having the show as a bi-weekly feature in your lives, and we are slowly getting things ramped up. Visit our sister show on I Talk Back Sports on the Spreaker Network. The We can be followed there at Talkback Sports on Twitter, and I also have a YouTube page up. And the interim, thank you very much for joining us, and we look forward to talking to you again in 2 weeks. All right. Good night, Kay.
Good night.